My name is Laura Bennett, and what I am about to share is not just any story, but a divine warning revealed to me during the most terrifying and profound experience of my life. I never imagined that one day I would go through something like this, but on the night of March 15th, 2024, my life changed forever. It was exactly 11:47 p.m. when I was driving back home after a long shift at the hospital, where I work as a nurse. The rain was pouring down in torrents, making it hard to see ahead of my car. I remember looking at the clock, thinking about how I just wanted to get home, take a hot shower, and crawl into bed. That's when it happened. A truck coming from the opposite direction skidded and crossed into my lane. I remember the blinding headlights, the screeching sound of tires trying to brake, and then, suddenly, nothing. The doctors later told me that I was clinically dead for 23 minutes, but what I experienced during those minutes felt like an eternity. What a celestial figure revealed to me during that time was not just about heaven or hell, but about what is to come in this world and how we need to prepare spiritually and physically for the times ahead. The moment of impact was not painful. Instead, I felt a sudden sensation of floating, as if my spirit was gently being lifted from my body. I could see my body below, slumped over the steering wheel, as paramedics worked frantically to revive me. The expressions on their faces were of intense concentration, with beads of sweat mixed with the rain running down their faces. But that was just the beginning. Suddenly, I was enveloped by the brightest light I had ever seen. It was not a harsh or blinding light, but pure love made visible. As I moved toward this light, I became aware of a presence beside me. I knew instantly that it was a divine presence, though it did not look exactly like the representations we see in churches. This presence radiated such overwhelming love and authority that I fell to my knees in worship, feeling warm tears streaming down my face. "Laura," it said, and its voice resonated in every fiber of my being, making my heart vibrate with a mix of reverence and peace. "I brought you here for a purpose. What you will see must be shared with others, for the time is shorter than many realize." The celestial figure then showed me a series of visions about the near future. I saw people lined up in huge queues that stretched for miles. They looked desperate, with vacant stares and slumped shoulders, hungry and afraid. Above them, giant screens displayed messages about a new global system that promised peace, security, and prosperity. But there was something sinister beneath the surface. I watched as people were presented with a choice: accept a mark that would allow them to buy food, access healthcare, and continue living in society, or refuse and face exclusion. The technology behind this mark was far more advanced than anything we have today. It was not just a physical mark. Somehow, it altered people's very connection with the divine. The figure explained to me that this system would seem beneficial at first, promising to solve world hunger, eliminate poverty, and unite humanity under a single global government. Many would be deceived into thinking it was compatible with their faith, but it showed me that accepting this mark would fundamentally change a person's ability to connect with the divine spirit. I saw those who refused the mark facing incredible hardships. They could not buy food, access their bank accounts, and were treated as outcasts. But the figure showed me something remarkable: communities of believers who had prepared in advance. They formed support networks, growing their own food, helping each other, and most importantly, standing firm in their faith. As I watched the visions the celestial figure showed me, I felt a pang in my heart seeing the expressions of despair on the faces of those in the queue. They were exhausted, with eyes full of fear and uncertainty. These people, who once had normal lives, now faced the harsh choice between accepting the mark or facing social exclusion. The celestial figure continued to guide me, revealing more about the global system that was to come. It showed me how the technology of the mark not only monitored people's actions, but also influenced their minds and emotions, making them submissive and compliant. As the visions unfolded, I saw groups of people who decided to resist the mark. They were treated as outcasts, living on the fringes of society. The celestial figure took me to one of these communities. There, I found people from different backgrounds united by a common purpose: to maintain their faith and freedom. They grew their own food in small community gardens, shared resources, and supported each other in all needs. There was a deep sense of camaraderie and resilience among them, a flame of hope that refused to be extinguished. These communities, though facing incredible hardships, demonstrated an inner strength that was inspiring. I saw families gathered in fervent prayers, children learning about the values of solidarity and faith, and neighbors coming together to build makeshift shelters. There was a palpable sense of love and compassion in the air. As the days passed, these communities became more organized and self-sufficient, finding creative ways to survive without relying on the global system. The celestial figure then showed me something even more astonishing. I saw believers who, despite the adversities, received divine guidance in surprising ways. In moments of extreme need, I witnessed miracles happening: food being multiplied, diseases being healed, and people being protected from imminent dangers. These manifestations of divine power strengthened the faith of the communities and demonstrated that, even in the darkest moments, there was hope and redemption. Jesus explained to me that the key to these blessings was spiritual intimacy with Him. He emphasized the importance of maintaining a deep and continuous connection through prayer and studying His Word. Those who truly surrendered to Him would be able to receive divine guidance and protection. This connection was not something superficial, but a complete and genuine surrender of their lives and wills. As the visions continued, I also saw the internal challenges faced by believers. Fear and doubt often threatened to erode the unity and strength of the communities. Some began to question whether they had made the right decision in refusing the mark, especially in the face of daily hardships. However, whenever these doubts arose, there were spiritual leaders within the communities who lifted their voices with words of encouragement and hope, reminding everyone of the promise of divine redemption. The struggle ahead would be arduous, but the celestial figure assured me that those who remained steadfast in their faith would be rewarded with unprecedented spiritual strength and authority. With a final vision of a community shining brightly amidst the darkness, the celestial figure reminded me, "Spiritual preparation and unity among you will be your greatest weapons against the coming darkness." As the visions continued, I saw Jesus showing me a broader panorama of the world. I was lifted above the earth and could see cities engulfed in chaos. Natural disasters were becoming more frequent and intense, and a spiritual darkness seemed to cover the planet. The devastation was overwhelming, and I felt an immense weight in my heart witnessing so much pain and destruction. However, amidst the darkness, small but growing points of light began to appear, scattered across the globe. These points of light were believers who refused to accept the mark and stood firm in their faith. They connected with one another, forming networks of spiritual and community support. I saw entire communities coming together in prayer, their hearts burning with a flame of hope and determination. These lights grew ever brighter as more people joined them, creating a web of light that spanned the globe. "Laura," Jesus said, his voice gentle yet full of authority, "tell them that the darkness they see approaching is not the end of the story. I am raising a people who will walk with unprecedented power and authority. They will perform miracles greater than those seen in the early church, but this power will come only to those who have completely surrendered their lives to me." His words filled me with a mix of reverence and determination. The future he described was bleak, but also full of promises for those who remained faithful. Jesus then showed me how the mark would be presented as the solution to a series of global crises. I saw campaigns being launched, promising that the mark could prevent identity theft, stop terrorism, and ensure the fair distribution of resources. The argument seemed logical and necessary, and many would accept without questioning. But Jesus revealed something crucial. The mark was not just about commercial transactions. It was a doorway that would allow spiritual forces to influence and ultimately control those who accepted it. I saw how the mark gradually altered people's thinking, making them increasingly hostile to true Christianity while believing they were becoming more spiritually enlightened. Some churches would modify their teachings to align with this new system, gradually straying from biblical truth while maintaining an appearance of religiosity. However, I also saw faithful believers who recognized the deception and stood firm in their faith, even at great personal cost. Jesus emphasized the importance of believers memorizing scriptures, as there would come a time when physical Bibles would be hard to access. He showed how crucial it would be for believers to learn to hear his voice clearly and trust implicitly in his guidance. I saw families teaching their children practical skills like growing food, living simply, and maintaining strong faith under pressure. But above all, I saw parents teaching their children to have a genuine and personal relationship with Jesus Christ. As Jesus continued to reveal the challenges that lay ahead, I felt a weight on my heart, but also a deep determination. I saw how some believers would receive supernatural guidance to move before major events occurred. Others would be led to stay where they were, becoming pillars of strength for their communities. The key was not the location, but the sensitivity to divine guidance and obedience to Jesus' directions. He showed me how critical it would be for believers to be free from debt and excessive material attachments, as those who simplified their lives would be better positioned to help others and maintain their independence from the system. Jesus then showed me something that broke my heart. I saw many people who initially accepted the mark, but later realized their mistake and were desperate to undo their decision. However, the change was irreversible. The spiritual connection that allowed for repentance had been severed. This is why this warning must be shared now, Jesus said. Once the system is in place, the choice will be final. My people must be prepared in advance and help others understand what is truly at stake. He then revealed how the mark would be presented as something beneficial and humanitarian. There would be compelling arguments for its acceptance, preventing child trafficking, stopping illegal immigration, ensuring fair medical care distribution. Even some religious leaders would endorse it as compatible with Christianity. But Jesus made it clear that accepting this mark would be an irrevocable decision that would separate people from his spirit forever. He showed me how the mark would gradually alter human DNA, creating a hybrid form that could no longer experience spiritual regeneration. The importance of believers being rooted in sound doctrine and understanding why this mark was so dangerous was emphasized by Jesus. It was not just about buying and selling. It was about maintaining our status as beings created in God's image, capable of communion with His Spirit. I saw how crucial it would be for believers to maintain their joy and peace, even in difficult circumstances. Those who learn to rejoice in the Lord regardless of external conditions would be powerful witnesses to others and maintain the strength for the long journey ahead. Jesus then showed me believers operating at levels of spiritual authority that seemed impossible. They were healing the sick, multiplying food, and even commanding weather patterns. But this authority would come only to those who completely surrendered their lives to Him and refused to compromise with the worldly system. He emphasized that the coming times would be difficult, but also glorious for His faithful. Spiritual preparation and unity among you will be your greatest weapons against the coming darkness, Jesus said. With these words engraved in my heart, I knew my mission was clear: to share this message with the world, prepare believers for the future challenges, and encourage them to maintain unshakable faith. Jesus gave me one last embrace, and the love I felt at that moment was beyond anything I could describe in human words. It was pure, perfect, and complete. With tears of reverence streaming down my face, I felt myself being drawn back to my body. When I opened my eyes in the hospital, I was greeted by the surprised and relieved faces of the doctors and nurses around me. Apparently, my recovery was considered a medical miracle. But while the healthcare professionals congratulated me, my mind was fixated on the visions I had witnessed and the mission that had been entrusted to me. Every detail was still etched in my memory with astonishing clarity. As I sat up in bed, I felt an urgency and purpose like never before. In the days following my recovery, I began sharing my experience with friends and family. However, I noticed that many were skeptical or simply too scared to accept the truth of my words. It was hard to convey the intensity of the love and authority I felt in Jesus' presence, as well as the gravity of the visions he showed me. Some people listened with wide eyes and open hearts, while others turned away, unable to deal with what they considered an apocalyptic tale. I decided to focus on finding those willing to listen and prepare. I organized small meetings at my home, where I shared my experience and the instructions I received. Gradually, a group of dedicated people began to form around me, united by the desire to prepare spiritually and physically for the tough times ahead. These meetings became moments of deep encouragement and mutual support. We studied the scriptures together, prayed fervently, and began making practical plans to become more self-sufficient. One night, during one of these meetings, I felt Jesus' presence again. His spirit filled the room with an indescribable peace, and I could see in the expressions of those present that they felt something special too. I was moved to speak about the importance of unshakable faith and the need to maintain our joy and peace regardless of external circumstances. I reinforced the message that true preparation was not just physical, but above all, spiritual. Those who maintained an intimate connection with Jesus would be guided, protected, and empowered in ways we couldn't even imagine. As I shared this message, I saw tears of understanding and gratitude in people's eyes. They began to realize that, although the challenges were great, the promise of divine protection and power was real and accessible. They left the meetings with a new sense of purpose and determination, ready to face whatever came their way with courage and faith. We began making more concrete plans, learning to grow our own food, saving resources, and most importantly, strengthening our bonds of love and support with each other. Our meetings became a beacon of hope in an increasingly chaotic world. News of natural disasters, political instability, and economic crises became more frequent, but our community found solace and strength in shared faith. We were ready to help each other and anyone who came seeking guidance and support. Jesus' message was clear. Spiritual preparation and unity would be our greatest weapons against the approaching darkness. As time passed, our community continued to grow and strengthen. New members joined us, brought by stories of hope and miracles that we shared. Each meeting was an opportunity to deepen our faith and our connection with each other. There was a palpable sense of expectation in the air, as if we were preparing for an imminent spiritual battle. But despite the difficulties we knew we would face, there was also a profound sense of purpose and unity that sustained us. One night, during an especially intense meeting, I felt Jesus' presence stronger than ever. We were praying together, our voices united in supplication and worship, when suddenly, a reverent silence fell over the room. All eyes turned to me, and I felt an indescribable peace invade my heart. Jesus was preparing us for something big, and I knew we needed to be ready. He showed me visions of even more difficult times, but also of miracles and divine interventions that would help us overcome any obstacles. I saw believers being protected in miraculous ways, as if an invisible hand guided and protected them from imminent dangers. Some of us would receive extraordinary abilities to navigate these turbulent times, but these gifts would come only through total surrender and unwavering trust in Jesus. As I shared these visions with the group, I saw a mix of emotions on people's faces. There was fear, yes, but there was also fierce determination. We all knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but we were ready to face any challenge with faith and courage. We decided that the best way to prepare was to continue strengthening our community and our connection with God. We began organizing practical training, teaching skills like growing food, basic repairs, and survival strategies. But more importantly, we intensified our spiritual efforts. We spent hours together in prayer and studying the scriptures, seeking guidance and strength for what was to come. Jesus showed us the importance of being rooted in His Word, as it would be our greatest defense against the enemy's lies and deceptions. As we continued our journey, I witnessed miracles that reinforced our faith and reminded us that we were never alone. There were moments when supplies inexplicably multiplied, or when someone received sudden and complete healing. These moments served as beacons of hope, reminding us that despite the darkness around us, Jesus' light would always shine brighter. Each challenge we faced brought us closer together, strengthening our bonds of love and mutual support. We became a true family, ready to help each other in any circumstance. And with each step we took, we felt Jesus' presence guiding and protecting us, preparing us for what was to come. The certainty that we were on His divine mission gave us the courage to move forward, knowing that despite the challenges, the final victory would be ours. No matter the approaching darkness, Jesus' light would always prevail.